Coming up on episode 127 of the Behind the Back podcast, we do our official mock drafts because today, by the time this recording comes out, it is NFL draft day. So Ben and I go through our mock draft, see how the sim plays out for us and who we end up with in our scenarios. And we talk about some prospects, talk about some names that we're looking forward to going into draft night. And then we pivot on over to the NBA. We talk about the Kings freaking out over a coin flip. We'll break that down, and then we do a lottery sim of our own again, as we do each and every week, and then we break down the fun storylines that we saw from the first few games going into the NBA playoffs. So with that being said, y'all, let's get it. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Behind the Back podcast. We are your hosts. I am Marcos Conan Negron, and beside me here, as always, is Ben, the Jet Reds. Ben, my brother, how are you? How was your weekend?
I'm good. Mouth's feeling better. Weekend was really good. I went to the A's game.
Hey.
That was a ton of fun. Shout out Chad, shout out Jack, and shout out the new homie Richard. Thank you guys for listening. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. A's got the win. It was the only win of the series against the White Sox for them. So it was a walk-off. It was a ton of fun. Highly recommend going to a baseball game if you haven't already.
Well, the city of Sacramento is definitely buzzing that they got at least more sports happening this time of year now that the Kings are no longer in the playoffs. And I know, real quick, we didn't talk about this, but I know Sacramento's building that new soccer stadium or the new stadium. So Sacramento's up right now in sports. We're trying to build a nice little sports city here, so I think that's super cool. I'm glad you had fun.
Yeah.
Always good to see a win, a walk-off win at that, so that's always a fun time. So guys, meat and bones of this episode today is going to be about our mock draft, because by the time this episode comes out, the NFL draft will be here. So we're excited as we try to pick the future for both of our teams. And the rules for this mock draft are very simple. We can't trade up. We're going to be offered trades to potentially trade back, and we'll just go right through it and see what how this sim kind of plays out for us. So let's pull this up here. All right, Ben, so you and I are going to take turns here and see what we do for the 2026 NFL Draft.
Do it.
All right, so on the board, I want to look real quick here. So in this hypothetical scenario, which probably this probably won't happen in the NFL draft. The Eagles are being gifted Spencer Fano, and I own the offensive guard from Penn State. I'm not even thinking about a trade for a guy like Spencer Fano, who's been the second best guy in the second best offensive tackle in this class, or next to Muaga. Although some of these trade options are interesting, like the 26 for 91 is definitely one I'd consider. Mm-hmm. But if it was for one of the other guys that we had talked about, like a Caden Proctor, even Blake Miller, who's listed down there before, you could take that gamble and be like, okay, maybe he'll be here next pick. But in this case, I'm going to sit where the board lies, and the Eagles somehow luck into how did he do it? How did he get Spencer Fano? So now, Ben, it is your turn, and you're being offered some trades out of the gate.
Yeah, so we can move back 2 and then get 148 out of it. That's not terrible. It depends on the board. Mm-hmm. We can move back to 45, get 211, and then next year. So let's take a look at the board. Obviously, the 49ers need offensive line. Now, on that note, Trent Williams did sign his 2-year deal. So he got $50 million, 37 of that is guaranteed. We'll be doing this whole thing again next year. No big deal. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, you still need a Trent Williams replacement in your building at some point, and I think getting ahead of that is the right time to do so now. So, on that note, when we look at who's available on the offensive line at the tackle position, the one that's jumping out to me is Blake Miller. Now, I did have Max Ihanachor as one of my guys, and he's a project player that I believe if he's got the right people around him, right team around him, he can absolutely be a prospect. So I know Blake Miller is staring me in the face, and this isn't a bad pick. This wouldn't be a bad pick. Right. But I'm going to go with my gut here and take Max Ihanachor and say that he is going to be the eventual Trent Williams replacement.
I love that. Great pick here. I think that's a good pick. No need to overthink it if a guy that you like is on the board.
Right.
So I think that's a good pick for the Niners. Now we move on to the Eagles' second pick. pick 54. I'm getting a trade from the Falcons that I'm going to deny. Seahawks are offering me pick 56 for next year's pick, so it doesn't really apply in this kind of draft where we're going for this year. So I'm going to pass up on those. So we took an offensive tackle. Spencer Fano fell into our laps, but again, if realistically a guy like Caden Proctor or even Blake Miller, Monroe Freeling, those guys are there. Those are guys I could also see going to the Eagles. So names to look out for you Eagles fans. So when we look at receiving targets, you have a Chris Brazzell kind of looking at you in the face. Now he does have some off the field stuff, some driving citations, but I mean the Eagles have taken a chance on a impactful driving, sketchy driving record type of guys. So it's like, do they take that with a guy like Chris Brazzell, who's 6'4", got blinding speed, could potentially be a A.J. Brown replacement? Or when you look at the tight ends, you got Oscar Delp, Eli Stower still on the board. And you could also look at the defensive side here. You got, oh my goodness. So if Gabe Atkins is on the board here, the edge rusher from Illinois, he is a guy that's been listed to the Eagles here. He has a potential first round grade. I mean, 6'4", 260 pounds. He's definitely an edge rusher that would, I think, thrive in a Vic Fangio defense and definitely be a great addition to this rotation at a very low cost. Now, the Eagles are also rumored to be in the running to make a potential Jonathan Grenard trade, and that could potentially change their mind on, taking an edge early in the draft. But I think if they don't somehow pull off that kind of trade, I mean, Gabe Atkins is here. Out of all those other names, I'm kind of not thinking about it. I'm going to take him here at that spot.
It's a good pick. All right, so we can move back to 78 from 58, and yeah, I'm not going to do that. So we're out of here. So I love that I got my offensive tackle, right?
Yeah, we got Ihanachour, yeah.
For me, the biggest thing, as always, and will always be until it's finally solved, finding a guy opposite Nick Bosa. I was hyped about Micah Williams last year because I think there's developmental pieces there. He was really an immediate piece for the run defense. He needs to develop his pass rush game. Here, in this case, I'm looking at a pass rush guy. And, I mean,
I know Mason Thomas is a little undersized, but he's
undersized.
Definitely a pass rusher.
He is.
Someone that Nick Bosa can learn under. But if you're looking for more of a big body guy, I would say deny Dennis Sutton in this spot. But his ranking's kind of all over the place. Yeah. And, depending on your situation and when you guys end up picking, again, will he still be on the board? Or did you want to go with just a pure pass rusher like Mason Thomas?
And that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a pure pass rusher from my side. Like, this is if I was building the 49ers, right?
Right.
And in my case, like, I want a pure pass rusher. I'm not looking for a guy who can develop, like, a run defensive game or anything like that. I want a pure pass rusher, a guy who's explosive, a guy who's got a bag deep enough for immediate pass rushing. And I think, in a year where the 49ers need to try and make the Super Bowl, I think this would be a good pick.
All right. So we're going Mason Thomas, the edge out of Oklahoma. Then we move on to the Eagles. Next pick here at 68. Green Bay's offering us a trade that we're going to reject, even though one that has in question. Now, at 68, I have taken my swing on the trenches, right? So we got Gabe Atkins and Spencer Fano. If this is how the draft falls, this would be an incredible haul already for Howie. So then the next option, we go back to the receiving options. There are some options here. You could consider an Elijah Surratt, Jacoby Lane, maybe, but I'm looking at my tight end options and I still see Oscar Delp just sitting there on the board. And that is, production's not there, but he has all the physical tools needed to play the tight end position in the NFL. A great spot to learn in if we take him behind Goddard. So I think this is a can't miss if he ends up falling to here at 68.
Nice.
So then we move on to the next pick here, and that is still the Eagles at 98. And then I'm going to reject this trade from the Bears. And now I'm going to start investigating my receivers. So we have some options here. Malachi Fields, Kevin Coleman. But I don't feel great about these guys right now. So then the question is, let's look at my safeties. Who do we got here sitting on the board? We got Zakee Wheatley. I like his size. And it's a Penn State boy, so the Eagles definitely are close to the local guys. But when I look at some of these other prospects, do the Eagles go with defensive tackle a potential Moro Ojimo replacement. Caleb Proctor literally has the same measurements as Moro Ojimo coming out. Wouldn't be far-fetched if they went this route. Daryl Jackson's more of a Jordan Davis-like player, which would be an interesting addition if they wanted to go that way. They could go corner if they wanted to add some more depth in the room. So there's a couple of spots that the Eagles could go here. And I see there's no more good tight end prospects. The Eagles also could be greedy and take a quarterback in this spot too. With Tanner McKee coming up on the end of his contract, the Eagles do need to find a replacement. I do think they do that in this draft. I just don't know if it's at this time. So I think what I'm going to do here, this is kind of a tough spot, just because I don't love these names. And when I look at what I have, I still want to attack some of these positions. I want to look for the future. I'm going to take Wheatley here. I want a big safety in this spot, just to add more bodies in the room. And then the Eagles pick again at 114. So no one's offering me a trade, so I have just going right for it here. So we still have no prospects that I'm interested in on the defensive front. So then we pivot on over to back to the offense. I'm going to look here at my receiving options. So then Deshaun Stribling is a guy that the Eagles have visited with. He's a 6'2 receiver, good size out of Ole Miss to replace a potential Ole Miss receiver in A.J. Brown. Someone who can attack the middle of the field. In Sean Manning's new scheme, I think this might be a guy that, since the Eagles have already done the work on him, they would be totally okay taking him at this spot here before someone else scoops him up. And then we move on to the Niners at pick 133.
I'm going to stay right here with the wide receivers. I'm looking for a guy that can go deep for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm talking like he goes deep and his speed is there the entire time. And I'm seeing it immediately in Malik Benson. So I'm tempted right now to take this one.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious. Let's just see best available. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we don't need cornerback. Cornerback room is set. Defensive line's always going to be a thing that, especially Raheem Morris is going to want to get more depth there. Honestly, I'm going to stick on the offense. I'm going to go wide receiver, and I'm going to stick with my guy Benson.
Perfect. And then the Niners pick again here at 133. So who we?
Let's look at the safeties.
Lewis Moore, champion out of Indiana, the guy who Jeremiah Love blew by.
Sean?
Not in the title game, but
yeah, I'm not liking the safeties. Let's look at the defensive tackles. Oh, okay. Renee Konga is actually, that wouldn't be a bad pick.
Ooh.
He's explosive.
Good motor.
He's got good agility. Honestly, I think I'm leaning going Konga right now. Let's take a look one more time, and let's look at our tight ends. Yeah.
Yeah, the real yeah. All the really good prospects are kind of off the board.
So, yeah, you know what? We're going to go with Konga.
Okay. Renee Konga. Then the Eagles got a trade offer I'm going to reject. And then, so we look at the Eagles picks. We got offensive tackle, edge, tight end, safety, and wide receiver. We attacked a bunch of different positions. Now, this is the spot where I think the Eagles will go quarterback with Garrett Nussmeier. If he had fallen all the way back here, he's got a wide range to go as early as the second round, but you know what they say with quarterbacks, right? His dad was a part of the Eagles organization a while back. Garrett Nussmeier has been in the building before, has worked out with Jalen Hurts before, so Jalen is familiar with the Nussmeier family, so it wouldn't be like this threat that people would be saying, oh, they're going to take over the position. And again, we need another body in the building because Tanner McKee's contract is coming to an end. So I think this would be the time to take Garrett Nussmeier. So that's where I'm going to go here. Realistic, nice. Practical. I'm not going to be like, oh, they won't do anything for Jalen Hurts. So.
Yep. So this is.
So 2 for the 3 for 2.
I don't like it.
So yeah, you got back-to-back picks coming up here.
Man.
You got some interesting names for the quarterbacks still.
Yeah, that is
here.
interesting.
These are a lot of guys that you can get for depth. Do you think, would you be surprised if Shanny took a quarterback in, the 5th, 6th round just for because like Mac Jones and all that. Like,
yeah, I think there's a real chance the 49ers could draft a quarterback. It's very Shanny like. He wants to get, a younger quarterback in the room. He's kind of a QB coach in a lot of ways.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised. He's done it before. He'll probably continue to do it.
Right, for sure.
But it obviously depends on who's, best available and out there at the time. Oh, man. Let's do a quick rehash.
Yeah.
We got our edge. Okay, so we've got the offensive tackle in Ichanacho. We've got our edge in Thomas. We've got our wide receiver in Benson. And we've got defensive tackle in Konga.
So do you want to talk more of the offense or more of the defense?
That's the question, right? So I'm going to go back to the safety room here. And it's still
VJ Payne.
So VJ actually...
Oh, he's a big body.
Yeah.
He's got good speed, explosiveness.
VJ wouldn't be a bad pick, but...
And he's healthy. He started 38 consecutive contests.
But he would be a bad pick where I'm picking right now.
See where his range, though? You got 87 to 240. So
True.
He's been like,
mocked up.
So this is kind of like his average, but it could be a good pick here. If you're going for a player of his type, I guess would be the question. If that's your flavor of player,
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the safety room real quickly for the 49ers, like you've got Jair Brown and you've got Malik Mustafa, both of which have strengths, both of which have weaknesses, differing from each other.
Right.
And obviously getting a young safety in the building like this, you're going to have the same things. You're going to have strengths and you're going to have weaknesses. What jumps off the page for me is I like the explosiveness. I like the size. And he's got good agility and he's got speed. So these are things that I'm looking at for like a safety position. You got to have a good safety if you want to be a successful defense. So I think I'm going to go VJ here and try and get some safety presence in the building. Now we got an interesting offer.
You want to go back to, and then you add a pick later on in this one, which you don't have many of.
I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Okay.
I like that. So now we've got
another one.
No, not doing business with the Cardinals today. Let's take a look at our tight ends here. Joe Royer.
Oh, I've heard some things about Joe Royer. He's got good size to him. So go up to the top real quick. So he's 6'5", 247 out of Cincinnati. So he's got good size. He has some production, 938 yards, 7 touchdowns over his last 2 years. So he's been a primary target. You can target him in the offense. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't be a bad guy to take a flyer on because it looks like athletically he has the tools that you can use at the tight end position. Someone that maybe Shanahan might be able to get something out of from that room.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where my head's at. And, when you think about George Kittle and how he's got to make this recovery from the Achilles, he's not going to be ready week 1. I mean, it would be amazing if he was, but it's also one of those scenarios you don't want to rush him back. So I'm feeling like getting a young tight end in the building, also another body to learn from one of these vets like a George Kittle, I think is a really good pick here.
Yeah, and Joe Royer, if you in this scenario you're taking him in the 1st, 5th, and the 5th round, and George Kittle was also drafted in the 5th round.
That's a great point. That is a really great point.
So this might just be the start of something special here.
I like it.
in this mock draft. So we go on to late in the 5th round here with the Eagles picking again. And again, I think I've addressed every position of need here.
Yeah.
It's worked out pretty well, actually. So the question is, where do I want to continue to build? And I look at some of these names on the offensive line. None of them pop off in terms of the names that have visited the Eagles from what we've heard from the visits. So I think those kind of prospects are off the board, although they probably have more research on a lot of these guys than I do. So they probably are a couple names on here that they would take a chance on in this spot. Nate Borkature is a guy who visited the Eagles. The Eagles could double dip at tight end here. They could also, I think, if we think about it this way, this is pick 178. They could take a flyer on a guy that they're not entirely sure on. But you got a guy like Zane Durant. Do they want to address the pass rush? He's good in the run game, though. They would want more of a true pass rusher here. You could address on the edge here. You could also, we added to the safety room, but we could also add the corner room just a little bit more depth. We don't know how long, Tariq Woolen signed a 1-year deal. So will he stay after that? We don't know. So Andre Fuller, Toledo, we know our Toledo prospects when we come from guys like Quinyon Mitchell. Mm-hmm. So they're familiar with some of these guys coming out of the draft. He's a senior. He has good size. I will take a flyer on him at this spot, Andre Fuller, the corner from Toledo. Then we move on to the next pick, which is back to the Eagles. So now, one of the guys I potentially had in mind in this spot. What was it? Yes, okay, so this is where I was going. Let's see, is he still on the board? And he's not. One of the guys Jeff Caldwell was a receiver I was really interested in taking because of his pure athletic score, but didn't end up working out that way. So when we look at some of these other prospects, I just want to look. Who's this guy? Oh, he's a big body. Big, strong, powerful man, DeMonte Capehart. I'm going to take him just because I think this would be a good filler position. Best player on the board this late in the draft. You don't really have to overthink it.
Honestly, here, I think I'm actually going to go Vincent Anthony.
Yeah, that's a good spot here.
I'm going to go a second edge here. We'll see which one pans out.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think we have any more picks. I think that might be it. All right, so we completed our draft. It gave me an A-, and then for Ben, gave a B-.
That's okay.
But that's okay. This is, again, they gave me an A- because I somehow lucked out with Fano and Backus.
You got some crazy picks.
And the board ended up falling to me pretty nicely. So these were our projected draft picks, so you guys can look on here. I got Spencer Fano, Gabe Atkiss, Oscar Delp, Zakee Wheatley, Deshaun Stripling, Garrett Nussmeier, Andre Fuller, and DeMonte Capehart were my picks. And for you, sir?
Got Maxi Hanachor, Mason Thomas, Malik Benson, Renee Konga, VJ Payne, Joe Royer, and Vincent Anthony Jr.
So I don't think this is terrible. I also think it could have gone better for a little bit in a couple spots here. These are your picks that you made some trades here. It lists them here, but
I'm not mad at it.
But at the same time, too, we talked last week about some of the prospects we were really looking forward to. Yeah. And I think, when the draft happens today, there's going to be a lot of, we have no idea which guys are going to fall and what position group's going to take over. So this is going to be a really interesting draft, and I'm really excited for who our teams take. I mean, the thing I love most about the NFL draft is that it adds a new character into our lives. This is a person that, and people, the group of guys that come in, we follow for the next 4 to 5 years and follow their every move and hope that they can succeed and make our team better. So it's always fun seeing how draft night plays out.
Yeah, I mean, on a different level, you get to see them kind of grow up too, right?
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. And it's like that for all the sports. But yeah, football, dude. Like, I will say, like, I've read up on the draft. I've watched countless videos on guys and done the research and whatnot. But until draft day and who your boys are that you're bringing home, like, that's when, like, for me, I truly dive in on this. Like, the guys that we bring home is who I dive in. I want to see the strengths, want to see the weaknesses. I want to see how we attack those kind of things. And that to me is the most exciting part, is because, like, you see your team draft this guy, that they put faith in. They expect, the next 4 years, hopefully plus, if they're drafting him, to be a part of that team. Yeah. They obviously have a plan for him. And so if you're a part of a good team like the Eagles or the 49ers, where you scout properly, you draft properly for the most part, if you're Niners.
Maybe reach a little bit.
Yeah, reach a lot of it sometimes. But you draft these guys and you develop them. Like, it's exciting. And that to me is like why draft day for the NFL is one of the most exciting days.
I know. And I like the way they do it with kind of 3 days. I like the first round is kind of a thing of its own.
Yeah, I do too.
It's going to be really interesting to see. This year is going to be a crazy one in particular. Since we last spoke, I mean, Dexter Lawrence is on the Bengals now, so now the Giants have the 5th and the 10th overall pick. So they are major players in either just taking 2 blue chip dudes or making a trade for one of the top guys early on. The Cowboys have 2 picks. The NFC East is going to be a major player in the top 10 very early on, and the Eagles are going to have to contend with that, which is why there's talks of Howie Roseman moving up, which is why there's talks of all of these moves going to be happening in this draft in particular. And I know you got a lot to worry about with the Rams sitting there at 13 and their ability to see what they can do. I know John Snyder said from Seattle that they only have 4 picks this year. So they're talking about, we got to move back and get some picks in return.
Even John Lynch was hinting at potentially moving back and getting some more picks. So, And you just look at his history, like he's done that. He likes to have more picks. It's more of a chance to hit on guys. So, I wouldn't be surprised even if the 49ers trade away pick 27 and move back and get, one or two extra picks.
Right, because if you can turn that into 2 day 2 picks that you didn't have before, and you'll be able to, the way the draft works, you're gonna luck into a dude at that spot. So it'll be, again, we'll see what happens on Thursday. If both of our teams trade back somehow, we're gonna we'll have a video on the first guy they take, and who is the first addition to our families here. So stay tuned for that, guys. The NFL draft on today at the time of this recording. Or by the time you hear this recording, it'll be ready to go, and it's going to be fun. So stay tuned, and we will see who we add. So that was the NFL draft portion of the pod. We wanted to just take a second here and address some basketball. So stay with us real quick, and we'll talk NBA. All right, we are back on the Behind the Back podcast. So we're quickly here. Before we talk about the playoffs, there's some Kings related news that we needed to get to first. And I would say it caused kind of a frenzy. This coin flip. Ben, do you want to kind of take it away here and kind of describe what this coin flip was?
So the Utah Jazz and the Sacramento Kings finished with the same identical records. Mm-hmm. Because of that, you had to determine which was going to get the, fourth and fifth spot? Fourth and fifth spots in the lottery. And so what did the NBA do? They said they're going to flip a coin. Right. None of that was live, by the way. I will say, you don't get to watch it happen. They don't flip it up and go, is it heads or tails? No, you don't see any of that. They just announced it. So there might be something there.
So I saw that they did it in kind of like the lottery setting where they all had ping pong balls. And that was the decider for the coin flip. But the results, what do you think?
So the results were, obviously, as we all expected as Kings fans, that the Jazz got the coin flip. They landed the fourth spot, and the Kings landed the fifth. Now, I've seen a lot of mixed feelings on this.
Yeah.
I've seen people that are kind of shaking this off. I've seen people that are completely crashing out over the fact that the Kings lost the coin flip. I'm going to be real. You get the 8th or 9th pick, and it's a loss.
Right, regardless.
To me. Because this draft is deeper than 8 players. Of course, we've talked about that. Mm-hmm. There's really good players throughout, but we're really focused on the top 4 guys.
It's true.
That's who we want to get. Obviously, we're gonna have a better. Actually, I take that back. The chances of us getting the number 1 pick between the Jazz and the Kings is still the same.
Yes, correct.
No matter 4th or 5th. Mm-hmm. And I think historically, the 5th spot tends to be the best mover of those spots. Is that right?
So when we look at the most recent history, so this is from King's Lead on X here. This is just since 2021, so the past 5 draft lotteries that have happened. So for the team with the 5th best odds, which is where the Kings are, 2021, the Cavs moved up to 3. So they moved from 5th to 3rd. In 2022, Pacers moved back from 5th to 6th, so only just a 1 position drop. 2023, Blazers moved up to the 3rd overall pick. In 2024, the Spurs, who were 5th, moved up to the 4th. And then last year, the 76ers were in the 5th spot. They moved up to 3. So the 3 times here, they've moved up to the 3rd overall pick. You got 1 4th and then 1 6th. None have fallen past 6. So I guess historically, recently, the odds are on our side. But what are the... So
is it due for a regression?
Being Kings fans, being cynical...
Yeah.
What are the odds that do you think we're more or less likely to get... Okay, do you think we're more likely to get a pick in the top 3 or 6, 7, 8?
I hate to say it, it feels like the chances are better to land a 6, 7, 8.
I think so too.
And if you look at the percentages, that's how it pans out. You're gonna have a way better shot as a 5th seed getting the 6th, 7th, or 8th pick. But it's tough because I've been texting you all year long. I think I've even said it on the pod countless times. We're getting the number 1 pick. It's happening, right? And so I'm just still trying to speak it into existence that it's going to happen. So I'm going to go kind of against what I was saying initially. I feel like the Kings have got it this year. I think they're going to get that top 3 pick.
Okay, great. So with that being said, we have to do the draft lottery. Now that these spots are official, they got this all pulled up. So we have to check. So here's the current standings right now. We got Washington, Indiana, Brooklyn, Utah, Sacramento.
Kings number 2. Watch.
There's a lot of things that could happen here, and this is the lottery. Let's hit it. Dang, we fell back to 7. So last time we did this, we fell back to 6. Yeah. We have yet to win in this scenario. We've yet to get even up in the top. I think we've only got top 3 once in this scenario.
We got second, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we got second one time.
Yep.
But in this scenario, we got Indiana. Dallas climbs up again somehow and gets second. This happened last time too. OKC gets the top 3 pick in this scenario. Of course they would. So the Kings are in 7th. We're back in the same position as always. We're in guard picking land. Yep. My guess here for these teams, I think Darius Acuff and Keaton Wagler are both off the board here. I mean, that would leave us with Kingston, Michael Brown, Braden Burries is going to be an option in this spot. Like it's going to be not my favorite, and I think best fit. It sucks that I don't want to say it sucks because I would low key be excited if he was here. But I feel like in this scenario, it would probably best case scenario would be Kingston. Yeah. So that's kind of where I fall in it. Michael Brown would be cool, but he's more of a scorer to me.
Yeah, we need a facilitator.
Yeah, and he's shown two-way potential, and that's true. And he has the athletic tools to make a difference. So that's kind of what I like about Kingston.
Can we just win a lottery one time on our sim?
No, can't
for the pod, man. Like this is so stupid.
We need one, man. We need one to show that we can take AJ, bro. Maybe this is it though. We're not gonna get it here, but then in the real deal when it shows up, we'll get number 1. It's just how it's gonna be because we're speaking into existence. Just won't happen here. So we'll just have fun with all the other prospects. Not even think about AJ. And then we'll get him. So we'll be okay. So that was the draft lottery. That was the Kings portion of it. Real quick, finish off the pod. NBA playoffs are on and kicking. Our bracket's already busted. No way it's perfect.
No.
So we definitely made some interesting picks. What has surprised you, so far about the finals? I mean, about the playoffs. I think the biggest thing that I want to get your opinion on is the Wemby injury. Do you think this affects? Do you think Portland has an actual chance to steal the series?
Absolutely. I think that there's every reason to believe that, based on last night, Wemby only played 11 minutes. Mm-hmm. You saw what that team looked like without Wemby. They still looked good, but there was a noticeable difference in the style of play that they go to. Now, obviously getting, a practice or 2 under your belt before the next game is going to help you tremendously, versus having to adjust the live game. But this is a different basketball team. They're going to need to lean on De'Aaron Fox, who in the last game didn't show up. And Marcos, he is going against everything that you and I said that he was going to do on our last pod.
Making a fool out of us, Fox. We're calling you washed, bro.
We gassed you up, and now we're looking like winners of the trade. Right? So I think there's absolutely a chance that the Blazers can win the series.
Yeah, and I was sneaky upset even with Wemby there. They looked great in game 1, the Spurs did, but Scoot came out with a vengeance in game 2 and really held it down. I do think this Wemby injury is scary because if he misses these next 2 games, which is looking like that's what it's going to look like, that he's not even going to travel to Portland because of the concussion protocol. Because his wasn't the same as a normal concussion. It was one that he hit from the front that caused him to pass out. So that's a unique situation for him, and that's the problem. That was always gonna kind of be the thing with Wemby is he's such a force when he's in, and he's been playing amazingly, but he hasn't been able to stay on the court, and that's gonna cost them potentially in this series, and that would be really a big disappointment for San Antonio if that's what happened.
That was my biggest concern when he was being talked about from coming over from France to play NBA basketball, and as the number 1 pick. I was like, yeah, he'll be fantastic here, but it's how much can he stay on the court? Mm-hmm. And I didn't go as far, at least sober, as to say that that he would be a bust, because I never believed he would, and I still don't believe he is. I mean, he's done things already historically that other players won't even be able to touch.
Right.
But it's a real issue that they got to figure out. But if we're talking to shift gears here about the thing that has surprised me the most so far in the playoffs, genuinely has been that the Lakers are up 2-0. This is a team without Austin Reeves. This is a team without Luka Doncic. This is a team with 41-year-old LeBron James, who, mind you, is playing still some damn good basketball in his career.
Best player in the series so far.
Absolutely. But why in those two games, and to me, it's not surprising that the Lakers have won. It's been surprising that Houston has lost. Because in my opinion, Houston has lost these games more than the Lakers have come out and just dominated them.
Yeah, I feel like Houston have they're playing the way that they've been playing all year. They've kind of just shown us who they were. They're a team without a point guard, and they're a team that could have used a guy like CJ McCollum. And I think that, there's no shooting on the floor. I think they have no idea what they're doing with Şengün. And Durant, obviously, the game one was we had a surprise. Kevin Durant wasn't playing.
Yeah.
And even in game two, he didn't look like 100% himself. They said he hurt himself sliding, trying to dive for a ball in practice, which I thought was really interesting because I've never seen Kevin Durant slide for a ball at all. But yeah, this is a tough spot for the Rockets, and I don't think they're coming out of the series. LeBron is 18-0 in playoff series in which he's up 2-0. So he's never lost a series that he's gone up 2-0 in. So this is an interesting, a tough one for Durant in his legacy because he's been tarnished. It's been bad since he's left Golden State.
Yeah.
And that's what I think he's starting to get remembered more for versus the ones there. So it's just a bad look. I think Houston, they have an interesting group of guys, but Udoka doesn't really have that team in check. So I agree, this is really surprising. But I thought the Lakers were doing a good job. Luke Kennard's popping off.
Doncic might be back soon too.
Yeah, and I think I think that's a good thing. It's bad if you're OKC because you would have rather faced this version of the Rockets than Luka, who historically actually does really well against OKC. Sure. So in a 7-game series, the Lakers are going to potentially give them more of a fight. And SGA did just end up hurting himself too. So that's something that you have to monitor. But OKC has the depth to kind of handle that if that really is the case versus the Lakers. But the Lakers might get their star power back, like you said. So definitely interesting. Another one. Hawks being able to steal one in the Madison Square Garden. It was a close one too. CJ missing those 2 free throws at the end, and Mikal just missing the game-winning shot. But I thought,
did you see him get dogged? By the Hawks bench after that? It was so funny.
So it's just like I knew the Hawks were going to be frisky. Now they go to Atlanta, and the momentum almost feels like everyone does the thing. The Kings, leaving trails of players and coaching throughout the playoffs, where we're hearing a lot of the same things that we heard or that we complained about during our time here. There was a lot of Mike Brown bashing after this game, and it's one of those things. The Knicks were up by like 12, and then they let this game. They let the Hawks come back. I mean, the Hawks played really well to close the deal, but I'm feeling good about the Hawks potentially upsetting the Knicks here, bro.
The Hawks are fun to watch. Like post All-Star break, they are fun to watch, and they're only gonna get better. Like that, give them an off season here. And next year they're going to be a better team. Yeah, that's the part that's frustrating.
CJ is such an underrated player, and I think he's gone under the radar being on middling teams the past couple of years.
Yeah,
and I really wish there's a lot of teams now that are probably like, damn, I wish we had CJ on our team. And I mean, I would have been pretty happy having him on our team.
I would have been happy 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
like with Foxy entering his prime, I'd have been like, let's do it.
Yeah, I could see that. So. Obviously, we got Orlando stealing a game. They're now down 2-1. Or the Pistons have tied it up, so it's 1-1. Boston lost a game to Philly, and Philly looked good. VJ had an amazing game. Yep. I thought that was a cool thing. I think if the Sixers, they have what it takes to, because Embiid is looking like he's going to come back. So in the series, and Vucevic has been proven to be the weak link. Mm-hmm. Like we kind of talked about, like, oh, if the Celtics, if there's a chink in their armor, it's that center spot and Vucevic, and if the Sixers are kind of been able to take advantage of it recently. So that's kind of what I've noticed so far from these playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I would say is that Minnesota series with Denver, like. First game, it looked like Denver was just going to mop the floor with them, right? Mm-hmm. And even in the first quarter of game 2, I even texted you, and I was like, yeah, dude, the T-Wolves are going to get mopped in this one.
Yeah.
And they came back from down 19 and made it a series. So I think the last note here is the playoffs are a hell of a lot of fun right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is a really fun playoff battle that we're seeing between all these teams, and it's created stories where we genuinely can't tell you right now we feel the most confident in, this team and that team throughout all of these to win the series. Like, it's gonna be a dogfight. It's fun.
What'd you think of the Jaden McDaniel comments? Did you see that where they were like, "Oh, what did you do to come back?" Well, attack Jokic, attack Gordon, attack Murray.
Look, there's a part of it that he's not wrong. Yeah. Like, they're not the best defensive team, right? And from his perspective, he's the best defensive player on the T-Wolves.
Yeah.
So he kind of gets to run his mouth from that guard. But it's also like, bro, you were down 19. Like, they had to make some mistakes for you to get back in the game too.
Exactly.
So But I'll end it with like saying I welcome all trash talk in the playoffs. Yeah, like, exactly. It's fun. It creates a whole thing, like Dylan Brooks saying he'd take Shea one-on-one. He can't wait for the ISO and he's gonna get cooked. But yeah, I welcome trash talk.
Yeah, even if that's the thing. I think so far with these playoffs, they've been entertaining. The games have been mostly competitive. There hasn't been like the crazy blowouts. Obviously, I mean, OKC had the 30-point winner, but I mean that was expected. But even then, you have the Dylan Brooks arc of it all, kind of inserting himself, like the story outside of just the game. So I think these playoffs have been really fun so far.
Yeah.
And I look forward to how this progresses. So that's kind of just, we're kind of going to keep touch on the playoffs as we go. Obviously, this is more about the NFL draft. And next week will be about introducing you guys to our new guys, and going kind of in depth on the new players that we bring on board. But we will also touch up on the NBA playoffs, where we're at, how we're feeling, and who we think will continue to advance as this thing goes on. Do you have any takes? Any wild takes you want to put on here? Because now our bracket's busted, right? So it doesn't matter. So we can claim whatever take we want now. So is there a take? My take now, I think the Hawks win the series against the Knicks. That'll be my prediction for this week. Is that the Hawks will take the Knicks series, because that's what I was feeling going into it.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, my hot take would be that the Blazers.
Hey, no way! Against your championship
champions, yeah.
But I know the Wemby injury does really make
it's a big thing, dude. That's a totally different team.
Yeah, he is the most important player on that team, and like he's just such a schematic problem. Like he fixes so many problems on the defensive end that without him, you guys are a different team.
He fixes and creates problems for the other team.
It's true, and he had a great debut in the playoffs. He played really had that historic debut. And he won unanimous defensive player of the year too. So it's like he was ready to make his mark in the playoffs, and now we'll see.
Hot take. Yes, still staying with the Blazers winning the series, but my hot take here is that Foxy's going to drop 40 to 50 points in this next game to shut all that social media hate up.
I agree. I do agree with what you said, though, that like when you lose Wemby in game, it's different than having the day to prepare. It's one of those things that if Wemby had been out before game one coming in, it would have looked a lot different.
Yeah.
And I do think they're going to find ways to utilize, Castle and Fox more. They'll find a way to utilize their guards more in game two, or in game three, because now they're tied 1-1 now. Mm-hmm. So, but I do think the Blazers, now that they got the one, they really do get that confidence, even though El Cheapo, their freaking owner, isn't going to have them have freaking shirts. That's a crazy storyline. This dude is, I don't know his name, but the new owner of the Portland Trailblazers has been focusing on cost-effective measures. And one of those measures is not providing loyal Portland fans, with the free shirts that you get for the playoffs. And for you as a fan, let's say, for example, Vivek was like, hey guys, imagine the drought, your first playoff game after the drought. And Vivek's like, hey guys, like we're so happy we made it to the playoffs. I don't have that kind of cash right now, so we're not, and I ain't gonna get y'all shirts, even though we make more money on playoff tickets and playoff games. So before we top this off, what do you think about that?
I think it's piss poor management. I really do.
Yeah.
Like, that is not giving any love to your consumers, the people who are continuing to buy tickets and stack that arena. Like, yeah, that's wild to me, dude. It really is. Like, to not have a shirt when you're going to be charging an egregious amount of money for them to be there anyway.
It's true.
And it's wild too, because on top of that, there was something too where, like, He is demanding everybody from the team to be checked out by 12:30 from each hotel to avoid fees.
And then the two-way players couldn't travel with them for the playoffs either because they wanted to save costs there too.
This guy's a joke.
So it is interesting when you we look at other organizations, like the Kings from a management of roster perspective is where we struggle. But in terms of the fan experience, it usually is fine.
And they might charge an arm and a leg, but they do take care of it.
And Golden One is a beautiful building. They did a good job with that. So they made Sacramento cool. But Portland, those fans are gonna fucking turn to Seattle. Once the Sonics come back. Yeah. And that's gonna be in 2 years. So it's once they get there, all those Portland fans are like, "Oh, this owner sucks. Let's just go to the old the old fun team, man." I don't know. It's gonna be that was crazy. When I saw that, I was like, "This dude's crazy." I'd be so pissed. So Portland better win because if they lose, it's just gonna be like, "Oh, we can get shirts, we can get anything." So crazy story coming from the NBA playoffs. And there's too many stories out there. And it is fun. That's why we love sports, man. There's always something going on, entertainment-wise. Also, entertainment-wise, back to football. Dan Rossini, Mike Vrabel. New York Post now decided to say illegal use of hands with Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini. Mike Vrabel has commented, basically didn't deny anything and said, I had hard conversations with my family.
That was a guilty man.
Exactly. And now there's more pictures coming out. There was even more pictures that got released today. Someone's really...
I didn't see those yet.
So it was them having breakfast at an Arizona hotel a month ago, and it was okay, more pictures. It's just someone is continuing to push this. That someone doesn't want the Patriots to just be oh, let's focus on the draft. He's apparently spoken to the players, all this stuff. Again, this wasn't nothing. So this is just an interesting, tabloid stuff that we had to get into. But now it looks even worse because everything that they've tried to feed us. There was a report that Robert Kraft tried to stop the New York Post from even releasing the pictures in the first place. So they knew about this going into it. Diana and Mike had time. They literally gave them time to coordinate together on how they wanted to respond, and it still ended up being a miscommunication disaster. This is something fishy. It isn't just a mishandled oh, I got caught cheating type thing. It's more than just that. The tea leaves are there, and Boston fans are you're Mike Vrabel, he's he took accountability, blah blah blah, all this stuff, trying to defend your coach, but he's a bum, bro. It's just bad look. And
there's so much there that the NFL could say we're opening an investigation, but they're not going to.
They're not going to. Robert Kraft's in Goodell's pocket, unfortunately. I mean, he's gotten away with stuff like that before. It's the Patriot way, right? So, definitely interesting. And Adam Schefter came out with a report that AJ Brown, they're oh, it looks like the Patriots are going to be the destination for AJ Brown post June 1st, which again just confirms everything that's been talked about before. Yep. So again, weird situation. So yeah, so a lot of good stuff going on. Yeah. But today, by the time this recording comes out, it's the NFL draft, and there's always some of the best time of the year to meet our new faces, guys. So we're gonna leave that here. This was episode 127 of the Behind the Back podcast. If you can hit us up at behindthebackpod13.com for all y'all. behindthebackpod13 at gmail.com. Yeah. For all y'all watching us on YouTube here, we got the links to the descriptions for our social medias up above. For all y'all audio listeners out there, the links to the descriptions are down below. Please give us a like, subscribe, rate, review, and follow the show. We appreciate all the love and support you guys give us each and every week. Let us know what you guys had in your mock drafts, who you're most excited for, who you want on your respective team, Eagles fans and Niners fans out there, and who you guys think are going to make the big moves. Do you guys think the Eagles are going to move up? Do you guys think the Niners are going to move back or move up? I mean, who's going to be available? The stories that we're going to find from draft night are going to be crazy. I can't wait, Ben. So with that being said, my name is Marcos Conner. Beside me here, as always, is
Ben the Jet Rat.
All right, y'all. We love y'all. We will talk to you next week.
Peace.